In 2011 or 2012, Stan and I drove out east, and small town, about 2,000, 2,500, and there were trucks going through every 3 to 5 minutes. And when we asked about this, he said, oh yeah, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, for 3 years it had been going on, and it clearly was not going to stop for some time.
Right under our noses, the oil and gas industry put in the injection wells right in the city of Youngstown that caused then a 4.0 earthquake. And for so many of us, it felt as though something had hit our house.
And I want to know what's causing this stuff. Because I said, I'm 62 years old, and we've never had any earthquakes before.
And my foundation was cracked, and I had leaks coming in for years, and finally saved up the money to get it fixed in 2016.
My involvement started in 2014 when Toledo lost their drinking water for 3 days.
I realized that water was a big issue because we had the blue-green algae, and then I started hearing about fracking.
My parents were approached to sign a lease on their property, and it was the home I grew up in. The first question was, is it safe? That's always, and she said, oh yeah, the guy said, well, the state regulates it. And the landman actually came to their door, kind of threatening them and saying, you better sign.
I'm watching my neighbors in tears because this powerful pipeline is going right between their houses.
You're allowing, radioactive toxic water to be pumped directly into, old drilling wells that aren't designed to hold it is outrageous. The fact that you'd put the Department of Natural Resources when it comes to radioactive toxic frack water, they're clueless. They're covering up crimes against the people.
The Medina County Park System, who was in charge of Earth Day, sent me an email and said, no, we couldn't have a table there because it could be too political, and they hadn't given a table to gas and oil. So I just sent the email around saying, can you believe this? And I wasn't going to fight it or anything. Can you believe we can't even have a table at Earth Day? And then it went viral.
I work in kind of labor-related issues. Labor is really experiencing the same thing that the environmental issues are going through, and they are beginning to, I think, see some of the problem, but yet their strategies still revolve around electing the right type of people that they think will represent their needs. We are looking at doing a county charter initiative with a Bill of Rights.
We wanted to save our park and water, and we went through all the avenues that you think you're supposed to go to, contact your council person, go to meetings, that kind of thing. And then we came up against a brick wall, and then we started doing the Bill of Rights method of civil disobedience.
So what the Lake Erie Bill of Rights does is it puts the rights of this ecosystem of Lake Erie above the right of the polluters who may think they have a right to pour excess nutrients into the watershed.
We've been involved in the past 3 years in a campaign to have a Columbus City ordinance to protect our water, air, and soil from fracking waste.
One campaign, two campaign, third. We got more than enough ballot signatures. It got approved by City Council, Board of Elections, shut it down.
House Bill 463 that here in Ohio allowed the 4 unelected members of the Board of Elections to just decide that even though we gathered enough signatures to get our petition on the ballot, they weren't going to vote it through.
I had no idea that it was going to turn out this badly, that it would turn out so horribly, that they would just, gather together and fight against us to protect the money that they were shoving in their pockets from this industry.
Every week, for the most part, I get calls from people who are facing one of the worst things they've ever faced in their lives, which is the prospect of something harmful being forced on their community against their will. And then there's another series of phone calls, usually if people are still interested to talk more, which is explaining to them that it's actually much worse than I thought. That the system is not intended to give them the remedies that they are hoping for.
We're really good at following laws that corporations are writing for us. We're very obedient. And then we wonder why everything is so messed up. There's corporate interest behind everyone, and they're writing them for their benefit.
And the more we're involved in it, the more we see how the system is really rigged against us.
We're supposed to be able to legislate just like the legislature directly. Write a law, put it on the ballot, people pass it, then it's law. And as we progressed and more communities started taking on the community rights approach and writing, actually using direct democracy, well, the people who have the power now, I guess, they're not going to just let that go. So now what they're doing is trying to stop people from doing initiative altogether.
We need to stand up for our rights because it's our life, it's survival. It's survival for nature, and we can't live without nature, and it's survival for us. You can't live without clean air and clean water.
We began to see that instead of trying to operate within that system, that the system was rigged, and then unless we changed the system, we really weren't going to get anywhere.
Hopefully we can get them all to understand how we have this underlying need to bring rights to the people in our communities, to control our lives.
And we're hoping to pull in grassroots organizations that are involved with a diversity of issues that would be social justice issues, because no matter what the problem is, the system in place pretty much reacts the same way, that you don't get the solution that you want.
We're fighting the same fight, that we have a common enemy, and that's really these wealthy interests that don't have our interests at heart when we want to live decently and have the basics to live on.
So I organize with the Ohio Student Association, which is a statewide youth power organization that's trying to fight for a world that doesn't throw people away. And we're facing the same issues of the difficulty of trying to legislate from the people.
We're conditioned by the society to be individualistic, which is why I'm really encouraged to be here, right? And by this convening, right, we're not talking about individual rights, we're talking about community rights, right? Because we function as a community. It's important that we get up even when the issues don't seem directly related to us.
Cannabis is also a community rights issue because it is something that is currently prohibited that is helpful to a lot of people. You know, people in rural areas get left out of decision making a lot of the times and things that affect their lives locally.
We have the right to clean water and not to have our houses broken up by earthquakes.
I think they have the right to decide on other issues when it comes to issues like minimum wage, when it comes to issues like workers' rights and things like that, gun issues.
Just an environmental issue, it's a social justice issue as well, and environmental justice issue if you combine it together. It's also a racism issue, sexism issue, but environmental racism is so important because people really don't understand, a lot of people don't understand that minority communities are affected by environmental issues to a stronger degree than non-minority communities.
I can sit at a table with somebody who comes from a social justice background, and I'm from a more environmental background, and we can find that common ground and say there's a bigger problem here.
And then that's opened up my world to injustice beyond environmental injustice, social injustice, racial injustice, economic injustice. And now There's plenty of injustice for me to deal with. Way more than I need.
It's a big puzzle, and each one of us is a piece in that puzzle. And we all have to work on the things that get us at the core.
I've joined the group of Sustainable in Medina County. It was an evolutionary process, and I dragged myself kicking and screaming all the way. I'm thinking, who am I to do this at my age? We have to stand up like our forefathers before us and say, no more, no more.
Which started out as protecting my water from fracking, and then forming a charter so that we had the right to create local laws to do that, then became amending the Constitution so that we had the right to make local laws, and so that we all had the right to citizens' initiatives instead of just people in cities. I didn't live in a city. Once you see the whole picture, it's become a lifestyle. You can't go back.
And I have grandkids and great-grandkids. So I joined the fight to protect them and the land because I'm in love with the land.
Well, the fellowship of community is why I do this, you know, for our children's future, to take back the reins of power before they spiral out of control to the point where we have no rights.
It gives the everyday citizen strength and a meaning and something they can do.
You feel empowered when you start doing things like this, and then you make connections with other people and other groups doing important things, and you see some hope in that.
I can't stop. I can't stop just because it's not me. It's all of us. It's about our communities. It's about the families within the communities. It's about the wildlife. It's about our ecosystem on which we depend.
We're the same kind of people, you know, who care about our fellow person
And
our
nature.
community and nature.
You know, I get to meet people that are out there, struggling and dedicating their life to social change and to real values like democracy and community. So, it's been a real privilege. No one ever seems to emphasize how much fun it is to take on really corrupt, evil forces and expose them and beat them back.
It's fun, and I meet really interesting people. I feel very lucky doing this.
Right, we're family, we're connected.
If you fight and you have organized people, not just energized people, but organized people, you can win and you can get the things that your community needs.
And not just kind of like go show up and hold up a sign. We really have objectives that we can reach.
And I'm going to stay involved with it. As long as I have breath in my body, I'm going to keep fighting.